Welcome to the session, Integrating Innovative Tools into Your Blended Learning STEM or GT Classroom, presented by ECISD Innovation as part of the ECISD EdTech Summit in the summer of 2021. Hello, we're very glad to be here with you today. My name is Kristen Whittenburg, and I'm the Research and Innovation Strategist in the Innovation Department here at ECISD. And also with me here today is...
Hello, I'm Mary Fulton, and I'm in my first year as an Innovation Specialist with the department.
We're very excited to be here with you today. So what are we going to learn about today? I wanted to pause here for a moment and just recommend that if you have not already, you might want to pause this presentation and go to the Teams channel for this presentation and go ahead and open up the PowerPoint. It's a PDF, so the links in it are active. There may be some links that you want to access, some resources. There's a poll that we have in there. So it might be nice to have that open. And then we also have some additional resources loaded as files in the Teams channel. So you might just want to stop the video and check that out. So what are we going to learn today? Well, we want to start off with why do we need change? We got a little data, and then also who is innovation, because some of you may not know what we do. The next thing we're going to talk about is what is blended learning in Ector County ISD. You may have heard people talking about blended learning, or you may be an expert. You may be using it in your classroom. You may have taken the UT Austin Blended Learning 30-hour course that Mary and I took. So you may be quite knowledgeable about blended learning, but just to make sure that everyone has the background knowledge they need, we're going to do a basic overview of blended learning as part of this presentation. Then we're going to drill down into the innovative tools. We're going to focus specifically and mainly today on ZSpace in blended learning and how that might look in your classroom, why it's a good fit. We've got a few other innovative tools that we want to throw out there and make you aware of. And at the very end, we're going to give you an opportunity to put on a Jamboard how you might use some of these innovative tools in your classroom. So let's get started. Data indicates, so we have some student survey data that indicates that we may have an engagement problem in ECISD. So according to our student surveys from the fall of 2020, only 20% of students in ECISD in grades 6 through 8 and 30% of students in grades 9 through 12 report being engaged in school. So like this student on the screen, our students may be bored, disengaged, and unmotivated by their coursework. Of course, the caveat here with this data is that this was the COVID year, and so many of our students were remote. We had teachers and administrators managing students on site, students distance. It was a rough year, and we get that. The spring numbers have been collected, the student surveys. They have not been disaggregated by grade level yet, but the data overall in grades 3 through 12 unfortunately showed a decrease. So we would hope to see, as students spend time with us in our classrooms, that those numbers would increase, but unfortunately they did not. We see a little bit of the same trend in student reports of rigor in their coursework, how they perceive how rigorous their coursework is. So only 30% of students in high school and ECISD report that they feel like their coursework is rigorous, and only 10% of middle school students report rigorous expectations in school. So the same trend with the spring data, again, not disaggregated by grade level yet, but a decrease overall. Now, I taught science in middle school, so I know firsthand how difficult it can be to engage secondary students, especially middle school students. Their minds are often on other things. But I literally was blowing stuff up and setting things on fire, sometimes on purpose, sometimes not on purpose. And it was still hard to get those kids engaged and excited in my classroom. So that's one reason I'm super excited to be a part of the Innovation Office, because we specialize in initiatives that are novel, rigorous, and engaging. So some of you may not know that we have an Innovation Office here at Ector County ISD. And some of you may be our innovation ambassadors. We love our innovation ambassadors that we have on each campus. So you may know quite a bit about the work we do, or you may not be familiar with us at all. So just as a quick overview, the Innovation Office brings real-world STEM, scientific inquiry, cutting-edge technologies, argumentation, novel courses, engineering design process, and cross-curricular connections, among other things, to our campuses in ECISD. So basically, we want to instill innovative mindsets in order to change teaching and learning for all students. These strategies and initiatives have the capacity to increase student engagement and increase the perception of rigor in the classroom. These mindsets promote skills that we hear are being sought after by our workforce, such as collaboration, critical thinking, problem solving, and being able to use cutting-edge technology. So basically, our innovation office, we want to innovate mindsets for the benefit of our students. So I'm going to let Ms. Fulton take over and tell you a little bit about blended learning.
All right, let's start with this video from the Christensen Institute to better understand their view of what blended learning is and is not. As we watch, please reflect on your own classroom practices.
I'm on my computer a lot.
Email,
Google Docs,
Google Search, Snapchat.
Technology has revolutionized our world. We can connect and learn and create and share. We have immediate, improved, and personalized access to the world. Nothing in our modern lives remains untouched by this powerful transformation, except for education. The big idea behind blended learning is combining online learning in brick-and-mortar schools with teachers where students can learn at their own pace so that they can optimize their individual learning.
Combining the best of teacher instruction and computer-based instruction.
The world that we live in today isn't about paper and pencil, it's about computers. Having our kids become comfortable and familiar with that now is going to better prepare them for the world when they leave this school.
Blended learning can actually personalize for every student's individual needs to meet them where they are when they need it.
We are doing students and ourselves a great disservice to assume they all learn in the same way. So we need something new, and that's blended learning.
When you walk into a blended learning school, what you'll see is small groups of students off with their computers working away on online learning programs, and another group of students in small groups doing rich interactive projects with each other and really collaborating as peers.
I'm able to now focus on smaller groups of kids, give them more individual attention, and help them with their individual learning styles.
Before, you're moving at the pace of the average of your 30 kids. Now you can really move at the pace of each individual student.
The teacher has the opportunity to look at data in the moment, in the minute, to know where our kids are immediately, informs instruction in the next period or the next morning.
In a regular classroom, it might take a week for you to get your test back. I can take a test twice in one class, get my feedback almost instantly, and figure out what I need to improve on.
Blended learning makes you in charge of your pathway, knowing how to navigate what you need and when you need it.
And that's true learning and knowledge. It's when you're able to apply content into real life.
All 50 million of America's students deserve the opportunity to have blended learning so that they can personalize their education and realize success in life.
50 million.
50 million students.
50 million
50
students.
million
50 million.
50 million students
in America.
in America.
50 million students in America.
What are your thoughts? How do you feel about using blended learning in your classroom? Or maybe you've already used it and tried it out in your classroom, or would you consider using it in your classroom? Before Kristen shows you what this amazing new tool is, you might like to try out in your blended learning classroom, let's take a look and consider Karen Farah's view of how blended learning builds on teacher expertise. If you would, click on your link in the PDF you have open on your desktop and pause the video until you're ready to move on. Do you have any ahas that you gained from the video? What is blended learning in the ECISD? Take a moment to consider your answer. Blended learning, defined by ECISD. Do you have some of the same bullets that they have? Would you agree? Blended learning. What ECISD says blended learning is not. Look through each of these. Would you agree with these? Our goal today is to share an idea for how blended learning and one of our new and exciting innovative tools could be implemented in your classroom to enhance student engagement and rigor. Now let's consider various blended learning models that you could choose from to enhance that student engagement and rigor. In your PDF, when you're ready to begin, please click this link and look through the various models here. And when you're ready to begin, resume the video. As you read, please keep in mind these models are not set in stone and can be customized to meet the needs of your classroom. Remember, you are the expert. How many of these models were you already familiar with, or maybe you call them by a different name? Or did you learn about a new model? All right, let's get the wonder and excitement started. Dr. Whittenburg, what is ZSpace, and how can it be a good tool and fit for blended learning?
So, ZSpace. What is ZSpace? So ZSpace is an augmented reality system that allows students to learn about and create content in 3 dimensions. So we've linked a short video on this slide to explain the basic concept of this technology, so let's take a look.
Welcome to the real world of virtual reality on the ZSpace platform. What is ZSpace? It's a tabletop virtual reality that's transforming education today, regardless of whether students are learning at school or remotely. ZSpace functions as your typical Windows PC until you open a ZSpace application, and then the magic really begins. Long story short, ZSpace tracks the user's eyewear and stylus in real time, allowing the user to comfortably reach in, interact, move around, dissect, blow up, or change different variables within the environment.
So we think the video did a good job of giving you the basics there. So you saw the students, they're either sitting in front of a desktop machine, which is called an all-in-one or an AIO, or a laptop, and those glasses have little tracking pieces on them, and they watch where the student is, they track where the student is looking on the screen. And then the stylus, they're actually able, like it's real, you almost feel like you can touch the object when it's coming out of the screen in ZSpace in 3D. And they use that stylus very naturally, and the students are way better at it than adults, I can tell you that. But they can reach in and, like it said, manipulate those objects in 3D. They can dissect them, they can build them back together. It's really, really cool. It's very difficult without sitting in front of the machine to get the full effect. So as we'll talk about later in the presentation, we would love to have you either come up to our office and try out ZSpace, or we have a laptop that we can bring to you, and we'd love to let you experience ZSpace, because typically when someone sees it for the first time, it's definitely an oh wow experience. So we would love for you to do that. So ZSpace has created a wide variety of supports, tools, and resources to help educators effectively use the ZSpace technology. They've done a great job. There's even tons of already made lessons aligned to our standards using the ZSpace apps. So I'm going to take you to this link right here. I would highly recommend you take some time to look around on this website and see what all is there. We're going to look at the basics here. So this is zspace.com/edu. And a good place to start, no pun intended, is the Getting Started page. So there's going to be some videos on how to use the ZSpace demo app, how to use the laptop. So there's the laptop with the stylus. And then the all-in-one is the desktop. So you can see it's a little bigger, comes with a keyboard and a mouse, and there's the tracking glasses. And there's tracking glasses for the student that's driving the machine, and there's tracking glasses for a student or multiple students to be the passenger and the navigator and sit next to them, and they're also able to see in the 3D. And then for your technology people, here's the technical requirements, how to use ZSpace activities, which are the lessons. So there's a lot of videos. They also have printed material. So if you go to View Guides, you'll have a little pop-up that has lists of printed resources. So there's a scavenger hunt. There's quick guides, welcome to the ZSpace community, posters that you can put up in your classroom if you are using ZSpace. So lots of printed materials as well as video materials. So there's resources to help you get started with ZSpace. The next thing that I wanted to look at is over here, the educator resources. So again, there's some videos here. There's actually, it's quite a lengthy video, 45 minutes, on using ZSpace online for remote and blended learning. So that might be a good resource that you want to check out. And again, View Guides, so a little bit more specific, teaching math on ZSpace, teaching biology with ZSpace, teaching remote students with ZSpace, early elementary with ZSpace. So a lot of different, very specific guides printed to help you using ZSpace in your classroom. So for example, here's the Teaching Biology with ZSpace guide. And you can see we have some different apps. So Vivid Science, ZSpace Studio. So all of these little icons are apps that are created specifically for the ZSpace machine that address different content and have different capabilities. So for example, ZSpace Studio has all these different models already created in 3D for these biology concepts, cells and viruses, genetics, evolution, anatomy, all these different things. Some of them are dissectable, some of them are animated. There's lots of different variety in the models. Close that. So that's the educator resources. If we go down a little bit further on the page, you'll see Browse ZSpace Learning Content. So here's where all the lessons are. So you can see the different content areas that they've written materials for. You have geography, ELA, as well as lots of science, engineering. You have some computer science, a lot of CTE. There's even fine arts. So pretty much mostly everyone can find something that will apply to them and their students on ZSpace. So if we click on life science, kind of stick with that biology theme a little bit, you'll see all of these rows. These are actual links to lesson information. So we have different categories: anatomy, biochemistry, biomes, all these different categories. And for each lesson, this icon tells you what app the lesson will be using. And then if we were on the ZSpace machine, because like the video said, the ZSpace machine actually is a Windows laptop or desktop. So we could be doing all these things on our ZSpace machine, but when you click on this link on the ZSpace machine, it loads that app for you. So it takes you there to that app that you're going to be using for this lesson. So lots of different categories here. One in particular, if I can find it, that I liked. It was not under biomes. It wasn't under botany. Cells and viruses. So bacteria versus viruses is an example. I taught this concept in biology, and it was tough. And so I really was like, oh, this is great. They have a lesson on bacteria versus viruses with this 3D technology. So if you click on the activity plan PDF, let me make this bigger. You see it's a regular like lesson. You have the lesson time, the app that you're going to use, Vivid Science. Middle school is the 8 grade range here. You've got your key terms, materials, essential questions, introduction, all the different parts of the lesson, but it's going to include the ZSpace app and having the students use the ZSpace machine and application in the lesson. And then there's a couple resources on the bottom. So different things included in each lesson as appropriate. So tons and tons of content already created for you in the ZSpace website. Then if we go down just a little further, we have Explore Apps and Tools. So all of these icons that you're seeing on the screen are applications or apps that ZSpace has created that work on these machines. And so we have ZSpace Studio, which is all those different models we looked at. Leopoly Maker, the students can actually create 3D objects, and then you can actually 3D print using the ZSpace software. We've got some physical science. We have, of course, the life science, the science, Vivid Science and Vivid Anatomy, lots of CTE, especially the health sciences, the ECG, human anatomy, dental. We've got some vet tech stuff. Welding. The students can actually use the stylus in ZSpace to learn how to weld. It's really, really cool. Automotive, mechanics, so lots of CTE. We've got some robotics over here, some different robotics apps. So lots of different applications. So if we wanted to look at one, so we click on Vivid Science, sticking with the same theme, and you've got some videos, how to launch the app, what does the home menu look like, how to do the different activities in that application. And then again, if you click View Guides, there's some printed materials, teaching students with special needs, teaching biology, again, that one popped up, Vivid Science, some specific resources for that particular app. So again, I would recommend, if you're interested, to go in and take a look and see the wide variety of applications that are available in ZSpace. So one more thing that I wanted to show you here on the homepage for right now is the Take a Course. I am logged in. You create a free educator account on this website, and I'm already logged in. And if you're logged in and you go to the professional development, it will actually keep track of what courses you've taken, and you can get PD credit. So they're all virtual. They range from about 20 minutes to maybe maximum an hour. If you launch the course, you can go in and take the course and get that PD credit. So there's courses about the learning apps. There's courses about how to teach with ZSpace. So there's a little bit about the 3D printing we talked about. Some of you may be familiar with Tinkercad, and it does integrate with ZSpace. So lots of different resources. They've done an excellent job of providing support for educators that want to use ZSpace in their classroom. So how does blended learning relate to ZSpace? So you probably earlier when Mary was talking about the blended learning, you looked at the page that she gave you that had all the different examples of the blended learning models. ZSpace took those models and they said, how would this look in a blended learning classroom with ZSpace? So these will look familiar, station rotation, but they inserted, if you look right here on the screen, collaborative ZSpace station. Lab rotation, they've put in the ZSpace lab. Individual rotation, so on and so forth. They've created a brief video and some information on how blended learning models would look utilizing ZSpace. Some of them are a little different. You'll see differences on this page. So I would say if you're interested, go ahead and pause our video, click on the link, go to this page, maybe watch it. They're like 45-second videos. They're really, really brief. Maybe watch a few of these videos, read about some of these models, and decide which one of these models, or maybe some of the blended learning models that you saw in Mary's presentation earlier, which one would you like to use in your classroom? So take a moment, pause the video, and explore these blended learning models. Welcome back. So we have a poll built into this presentation. So if you've got that PDF of the PowerPoint pulled up on your desktop, you can actually click on this vote button, and it takes you to a Google form where you can vote on our poll. Which of the blended learning models would you like to try first in your classroom? And click submit. Of course, since this is a recorded session, you're not going to see the poll respond, but this is a great tool, and we'll be able to go back and look and see what you guys are most interested in the blended learning classroom. So if you'd like to, you can go ahead and participate in that poll. So one more thing that we wanted to show you related to the ZSpace is an application called ZView. And you saw some examples of this in the video earlier where it looked like that model, that 3D object was coming out of the screen. That's what it looks like when you're sitting in front of the machine. Again, we would love to bring the machine to you or have you come up here and experience it yourself. If you haven't, it's amazing. But I reach out often and try to grab it because I think it's actually there in the space in front of me. It's not, but it looks like it is. So for a demonstration for your students, or if you're recording a video like we are right now, or if you have virtual students, you can use this application called ZView. So people that are not sitting in front of the ZSpace machine can actually see the 3D image. So I did this yesterday. I recorded this video. So if I can do it, anybody can do it, I promise. Let me show you this quick video. So if you're using an all-in-one desktop ZView machine and you have the secondary monitor and an external camera, you can use the ZView software so that you could do a demonstration for your class in the classroom using your projector, your smartboard, or if you were making a recording like I am right now, or if you had a virtual class, you can actually use the software to show what the 3D view would look like. So I've got a model of a beating heart here, and you can see that I'm rotating it in space in 3D, and you can see what that would look like. So this is what it looks like when you're looking through the glasses, but you could do this for virtual students or as a demonstration. So you can see that beating heart there. So that's just pretty cool. So this is cool. How do I get this for my classroom? Well, several different options. Again, contact us. Our email addresses are at the end of this presentation. If you want to swing by the office to try out the desktop, or if you want us to bring the laptop to you so you can try it out, we would love to do that. You can check out the laptop to use as a station in your own blended learning classroom. Or if you really like it and you see a lot of different applications you can use with your students, you can request that your campus purchase a laptop or desktop machine for your campus. They're not that expensive. You do have to purchase the apps each year, but it's not very expensive. We can kind of lead you through that if you'd like us to. And then we do anticipate expanding ZSpace into secondary schools and CTE, starting with our middle school, in order to increase student engagement and learning personalization through technology. So we wanted to cameo a few other tools that we have in our innovation office that we would love to show you, bring you, help you, co-teach, whatever. We want to get these tools into your classroom if you're interested. So we've got the Foldscope, which is a paper microscope with 140 magnification, so you can actually see microorganisms in like the tardigrade, the little water bear that everyone thinks is so cute. You can actually see those under the fold scope in real life. So we've got those that we would love to work with you. We've got Ozobots. You may have seen these. I know a lot of these are going out to our campuses. We have some kits we can check out once you've been trained. We'd love to show you how these can incorporate and integrate with your content in your classroom. Virtual reality, so the ZSpace is augmented reality. So you're still sitting in the real room. You're just seeing an augmentation of that 3D object. Virtual reality is when you, and probably you've seen this, maybe your kids may have these at home, but you put on the goggles and you're in another reality. You're in a virtual reality. And this picture, Mary Fulton actually took this picture. This is one of our new tech students in our novel neuroscience class using virtual reality to collect neuroscience data, working with real data sets. So really, really exciting stuff. We're just beginning to use the virtual reality, but if you've got some ideas, you techie folks out there, if you've got some ideas how that might work in your classroom, we'd love to hear from you. And then finally, Backyard Brains, neuroscience for everyone. You can Google it, Backyard Brains. They've got a lot of different kits. They would work really well in a science classroom, but I could also see these being used in a lot of different content areas. So right there we've got a picture of a couple, again, of our new tech students working with the Backyard Brains equipment. So give us a call, shoot us an email. We would love to talk to you about how we can get these virtual tools into your class. Virtual tools. Virtual reality is on my mind, how we can get these innovative tools into your classroom. So I'm going to turn it back over to Miss Mary, and she's going to wrap up.
All right. We certainly hope that we've sparked your curiosity and piqued your interest in ways that you might like to use some of our innovative tools in your classroom. We would love for you to share any ideas that you've come up with on our Jamboard. You simply click the link in your presentation PDF to open the Jamboard, and then you can come over here and grab a sticky note and type your answer in, hit save, and it'll share it with our group. When you're finished adding any ideas, and you're welcome to use more than one, simply close it and come back to our presentation. I hope you took a moment to read over the different ideas that the others have shared there on the Jamboard. We want to thank you for taking your time to come and learn more about what we do here in innovation and some new information about our tools.